So if you're a beginner in Excel VBA, what's the best way to think about a variable? Well, a simple idea for you to get us started today, a variable is a place to store information. Repeat, a variable is a place to store information. That's all it is. Now, I've got my mic pack here. I want you to think about Excel, think about your computer's memory as a bit like this mic pack. Can you see how it's nicely organized? There's different shapes for different things. For example, I've got this nice rectangular shape down here. I can take this power pack, fit it straight in. It fits nicely into that slot. So as programmers, we've got to help Excel organize its memory so we can easily put things in and easily take things out. Now we do that using variables. The word variable, as with many things in Excel, doesn't describe very well what it does, but there's different types of variables. Like we've got different shapes in our mic pack. We've got to say to Excel, I want to store this information, and this is what it looks like. So it's either text information or it's numerical information. If we can do that, Excel can organize its memory. We can store really useful stuff in there using variables. In this video, hopefully you've understood a bit of the theory now. We're going to start using variables in Excel VBA. Have you downloaded the PDF for the Excel VBA Buildings Block series? We're on session 3 now. Hopefully you've understood what a variable is. We're going to go on to create a variable in just a second, but you can download the course handbook in the email link. The link is in the description below this video. And on the website, we also have 3 videos about the Excel VBA meta skills only available on the website. So the link is in the description below this video. Make sure you get involved there. So let's get straight into the VBA editor. I'm going to say sub create a variable, and we're going to start using variables to store, manipulate information in Excel. So go ahead, work along with me. We've got to go through this process first of variable declaration. So you're like, Chris, there's so much to do. Why do we have to declare variables? Because it allows Excel to organize its memory. We're saying we want to store this information. This is the kind of information that's coming. And the formula that we have to follow is dim variable name as variable type. And that variable name, it's very much like naming a macro. You can pretty much use anything, but it should be informative. The name of the variable should give you an idea what the variable does. Now, we're going to use 2 numerical inputs. So I'm going to say dim input 1. A variable name has to be a single word. So I've used the underscore there as integer. Dim variable name as variable type. So what's an integer variable? An integer is a whole number variable. So Excel will now create a little space in its memory for storing a whole number. How cool is that? We're going to see it in action in just a second. Let's say input 2 as integer. So we've now declared 2 variables here. I'm going to declare a third variable, and I'm going to call it output as integer there. Can you see what we're going to do here? We've declared 3 variables and the variable type is integer. So it's a whole number. What are we going to do now? We're going to try to assign some information, store some information in those variables using another one of our foundational concepts, which is A equals B. So if I say input 1 equals 2, then it's A equals B. So the first part of the construct is going to take on the value of the second part of the construct. And we'll demonstrate that in just a second. I'm going to say input 1 equals 2, input 2 equals 4. You could go for any number, doesn't really matter. So hopefully we've now assigned values to those variables. We're storing information. We've made our little mic pack structure. Hopefully it's all working. But how could we check this? Well, let's go to debug and step into, and one of our meta skills videos is all about debugging in Excel. The link is in the video description below. I'm going to go to step into and just hit the F8 key, or you could go to debug and just keep hitting step into. That's going to work through the code. Now, when the line of code is highlighted, it hasn't yet been executed. So if I press F8 now, that line of code has been executed. If I hover over the variable, you can see it says input 1 equals 2. If I'm going to hit F8 one more time, and then input 2 equals 4 here. So by hovering over the variable name, we can see that we've stored a value in that variable. Now that's pretty cool. It's a place to store information. It's very much like a cell in the spreadsheet. And you might say to me, well, Chris, why can't I just use cells in the spreadsheet? Well, variables deliver a couple of specific advantages. The first is that they're more efficient. It takes Excel time to write to the spreadsheet and to extract information from the spreadsheet. The second is that they're easier to control in a way because the user can't see variables. The variables are sat in the VBA editor in your computer's memory. That might be preferable if we don't want the user to be able to manipulate the information. That will give us control as a programmer. So what can we do here? Let's say output equals input 1 plus input 2. So once again, our A equals B construct, a little bit more advanced this time. So I want you to stop the video and just tell me when this message box flashes up, what value are we going to get? Stop the video and think about that one. Going to hit the play button at the top. I've got the message box flashing up here and we've got a value of 6. So firstly, another great way to work with variables is to use this construct here, message box, and the name of the variable. That's going to flash up the value in the variable. I use that all the time for debugging. But can you see how this has worked? We've put the value into the variables and then we've done this operation to get the valuable from the first two variables into our third output variable. And then we're flashing up the output variable there. Pretty cool, but never believe it first time. We know that we never believe it first time here. We always test it. Let's go for 3 and 10 this time. Play the macro and we can see we've now got a value of 13. So that's variables in action. And don't get me wrong, behind the scenes, variables can do a lot of good, but things really get interesting when we combine variables with the spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'm going to put in the spreadsheet, could you see I just typed accidentally in the Visual Basic Editor there? Happens all the time, so always be aware. Am I currently typing in the spreadsheet or the VBA editor? I'm going to say input 1 here, input 2, and then output. And we're going to get some interaction between the spreadsheet and the VBA editor. So cool. This is just a really fundamental thing that we're doing all the time in Excel VBA. So rather than allocating a value to the variable, I'm going to say to Excel, get the value from this cell in the spreadsheet. So cell C8 here, I'm going to put a value of 3 in and a value of 10 here. So range C8 dot value. So once again, just the A equals B constructs, we're just changing what A and what B are looking at. Range C8 dot value, I'm going to copy this down, Control C and Control V. So what range are we looking at? Taking my time here. Very typical mistake would be to get this range wrong. Who knows, I might get it wrong. Doesn't matter, we'll fix it. Happens all the time in Excel VBA. So taking a value from C8 and C9, first I want to confirm that that part of the mechanism is working. So we're getting a value from the spreadsheet into the variable, hitting the F8 key here. And I can see we've got a value into input 1, which is 3. Hitting F8 one more time on the Windows PC. You can also go to debug and step into. Have we got a value into input 2? Yes, we have. We've got a value of 10 into input 2. So we're taking a value from the spreadsheet, storing it in a VBA variable. How cool is that? Final challenge. I want to get the value from the VBA editor back into the spreadsheet. So you can see we're doing things both ways. We're getting stuff from the spreadsheet into VBA, into variables in VBA. Then we want to get things out of variables back into the spreadsheet. How might we do that? The A equals B construct is going to help. So I want to put the output, the sum of these two variables, into cell C10 here. So I'm going to say range C10 equals output here, and I need to remember to put that operation in. I'm not going to use the message box anymore. So I'm going to say output equals input 1 plus input 2, because I just overwrote this line of code. Not absolutely sure. So can you tell what's going to happen now? We're going to see variables in action here. I'm going to play the code. Keep an eye on cell C10 here. Playing the code, we've got a value of 13 coming in. Let's try some different values. Let's change input 1 to 10. Play the code. We can see we've got a value of 20 coming in there. Now I just made that mistake again. I just wrote in the VBA editor rather than in the spreadsheet. Typical mistake. Try to be aware of it. Going to make one more test here, and we can see the power of variables in action. So maybe Not a super interesting example yet, but this has all kinds of examples in your Excel VBA coding. A variable is just a place to store information. It gets much more interesting when we get the interaction between the spreadsheet and the Excel VBA editor. And don't forget, guys, go ahead and download our course handbook. We've got some special sessions on the Excel meta skills that are only going to be available in the website. And yeah, you're going to get value out of this course handbook. I'm absolutely sure. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.